Creed 3 is the latest installment in the Rocky/Creed franchise. This is a very long-running sports franchise that has mostly yielded positive results. I don't know. Obviously, the first Rocky movie is incredible. And I like some of the sequels, especially like Rocky Balboa. That movie was pretty good. I don't know. I used to love them when I was a kid. What else? I really like the first two Creed movies a lot. I don't like them as much as I used to. I do have them both on Blu-ray. However, the first Creed movie is very, very good. And you know what? The second one is very, very entertaining and has a really cool take on sequels and how they fit in with original movies. It's a clever movie that I think deserves more love than it does get. But they're both very, 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 very solid boxing movies, and I was pretty excited for Creed 3. Its timing with coming out this year worried me a little bit. It's coming out a little earlier in the year, and usually those movies come out. Like I think the first Creed movie came out on Thanksgiving, and then the second one came out around Thanksgiving. I don't know. Movies that come out earlier in the year tend to worry me. So besides that, yeah, Jonathan Majors is in this movie, which I was really excited about. But one thing I almost forgot about, the main thing, is that Sylvester Stallone is not involved in this movie whatsoever. He wrote both of the other two movies and starred in them, and he wanted nothing to do with Creed 3. So Michael B. Jordan decided to direct the movie himself, something he's never done. And that worried me a little bit for very obvious reasons. Sometimes actors who take directing into their own hands don't do too well. But, I don't know. It was just little doubts about this movie. I was excited for it, and it really delivered on what it was supposed to be. The Creed movies are kind of following the exact same trajectory as the Rocky movies are. As obviously this is kind of the corniest one to date and very hammy at times. But it was also incredibly entertaining. I was enthralled throughout the entire movie. I wrote in my Letterboxd review that I could watch Creed movies just over and over, like a million of them, just because they are so entertaining. They kind of capture the best of sports movies in like maybe not like in a non-serious way, but in a way that I could watch over and over and over again. A movie like, where is it? Southpaw. The reason why I think it fails so much, it doesn't fail so much. This is a decent movie. I do like Southpaw. But I think the reason why it isn't on like a level of Creed is because it really doesn't balance its tone well. Like, it's so serious throughout the first hour, and then turns into a really corny, by-the-numbers boxing movie by the end, where I think the Creed movies really stay consistent with their tones, and even when it is corny, and when it is ham-fisted, I think that it still stays consistent with its overall messages and themes and what it's trying to go for. Like, these movies are never inconsistent, which I think is a really good thing. Jonathan Majors, right off the bat, is a wonderful surprise. Not a wonderful surprise this movie, but a wonderful addition to this franchise. I thought his character had a lot of nuance to him, and I thought he was a really good foil for Creed and kind of like the opposite of Creed in that way. And I think that made for some really interesting conflict. I liked mostly like what they did with the story. I have some issues overall with the script, but I'll get to that when I really talk about my negatives of the movie. But I thought Jonathan Majors, once again, did an incredible job. He is such a good actor, and I'm really, really happy he's finally getting that like star treatment. He's in a lot of movies now, and he really is the highlight of almost every movie that he's in. I did like Michael B. Jordan, and you know what? He did a really solid job directing here. I feel like he had a noticeable thumbprint throughout the movie. I feel like it wasn't just like a really plain, really safe directed movie, which I thought it might have been. I thought he took some chances, and they really paid off. He talks about some of the fight scenes having anime influences, which I thought was a little silly. It was a little, like, all right. To me, they felt a lot like the Creed video game, the VR game, and while that can kind of seem like a negative, I think that's a real positive. I don't know why, but I really dug how the fight scenes were laid out and how they felt like the game a lot. And I don't know, and it was just a connection that I made in my head, and I felt like that that really worked for me. I thought the fight scenes, especially the last fight scene was really, really entertaining. There's a lot of really good shots in this movie too. The cinematography is, I'm not gonna say is like incredible or even as good as the first one, but it was really good for what it could have been. Like it was the best it could have been in my eyes. Michael B. Jordan obviously turned in another really good performance as Creed. I feel like he's really comfortable as this character now. I think he has fully came into his own in the second Creed movie, and I think here he just is very comfortable as this character. I thought he did a great job. What else to say about the positives? I think that's it. Yeah, this was just a really, really entertaining movie that had me enthralled throughout. It was an entertaining story. It had really good visuals. I really loved Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan's performances and how much chemistry they had and how well they bounced off of each other. My negatives are it was a little bit choppy when it came to the like actual script. I feel like they skipped over a couple of story beats where it felt a little too like, that's a bit of a stretch, or that I feel like that's a little brushed over. There were points that I felt like the movie could have slowed down a little bit. Like it was going at like that much of a pace, and I felt like it could have slowed down a little bit. Let a major thing that happened is a little just kind of brushed over. It's a big emotional moment, and I think that it wasn't really handled that all that well. I also really didn't love some of the first act. I felt like it was a little too by the numbers and a little too like after we get the is it epilogue. I feel like the movie it's a little like okay, this is a little meh, and I'm feeling not so great about this one. But once it started to pick up, I really started to enjoy Creed 3. So honestly, this was a big surprise for me. I didn't think this movie I would get as much enjoyment out of it as I did. But it's also I don't know. I don't really have a lot of negative things to say. It just is a very very entertaining movie that I liked quite a bit. So I'm gonna give Creed 3 a light B plus, bordering on a B. Like it's very in the middle for me, but I'm gonna give it a light B plus. I did like this movie quite a bit. So, other than that, I don't have much else to say. The best list is coming soon, like I say in every video. And I will see you guys with the next review. That'll either be 65 Million Years or the new Scream movie, whatever Cam decides to watch. So, yeah, I'll see you guys later.